Have you ever considered that anxiety, a condition often viewed negatively, could be the stepping stone to greatness? Anxiety, it's a term that usually conjures up unsettling feelings. We often associate it with stress, unease, and worry. But what if we told you there's more to it than meets the eye? What if we explored the possibility that anxiety, this common human experience, could actually be a catalyst for greatness? Let's take a step back and reevaluate our perception of anxiety. Could it be that this distressing emotion, often seen as a roadblock, is indeed a gateway to untapped potential? This radical perspective isn't a New Age theory. It originates from the profound work of a 19th century philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard. His revolutionary book, The Concept of Anxiety, opens up a novel discourse on this subject. Join us as we dive into the mind of Søren Kierkegaard and his revolutionary perspectives on anxiety. Before we delve into his work, let's first understand who Søren Kierkegaard was. Søren Kierkegaard, often hailed as the father of existentialism, was a philosopher and theologian who left an indelible mark on the world of thought and reflection. Born in Copenhagen, Denmark in the early 19th century, he was the youngest of 7 children. His upbringing was steeped in a deeply religious household, which instilled in him a profound sense of spiritual inquiry and contemplation. Kierkegaard was a man of many facets. He was a poet, a social critic, a religious author, and above all, a philosopher. His writings often revolved around Christian ethics, the institution of the church, and the nuances of human emotions, particularly anxiety. His life was not without hardship. The early death of his mother and 5 of his siblings cast a long shadow on his childhood. His relationship with his father, a stern and deeply religious man, was fraught with tension. These personal experiences would later become the foundation of his philosophies, shaping his views on life, faith, and the human condition. Despite the hardships, Kierkegaard was a brilliant student. His intellectual prowess was evident from an early age, and his thirst for knowledge led him to pursue a degree in theology at the University of Copenhagen. He was a voracious reader, and his writings were heavily influenced by the works of philosophers such as Socrates and Hegel. Kierkegaard's philosophies were groundbreaking for his time. He challenged the status quo, questioned established norms, and prompted his readers to reflect on their existence and purpose. His works, like Either or, Fear and Trembling, and The Concept of Anxiety, continue to resonate with readers worldwide, sparking debates and inspiring introspection. His legacy is not just his philosophies, but also his courage to question, to seek, and to challenge. He was a man of introspection, a man who dared to delve into the depths of human emotion and existence, a man who believed in the power of the individual. Now that we know the man behind the philosophy, we can better appreciate his groundbreaking work. In his seminal work, The Concept of Anxiety, Kierkegaard explores a radical interpretation of anxiety. This Danish philosopher, often referred to as the father of existentialism, presents a profound and insightful exploration of anxiety and its role in human life. Kierkegaard begins by defining anxiety not as a mere emotional response, but as a deeply existential condition. He describes anxiety as the dizziness of freedom, a disorienting sensation that arises when we confront the sheer breadth of possibilities that life presents to us. Anxiety, in his view, is not born out of fear for what is, but rather an apprehension of what could be. It's the unsettling realization of our own potentiality, our own capacity to act, to choose, and to shape our own destiny. This brings us to the crux of Kierkegaard's argument, the intimate relationship between anxiety and freedom. For Kierkegaard, freedom is not just the ability to choose between different options. It's the capacity to create new possibilities, to bring into existence what was previously unimaginable. And this freedom, he argues, is both the source and the object of our anxiety. We are anxious because we are free, and we are free because we are anxious. But if anxiety is a product of freedom and freedom is a necessary condition for human existence, then what role does anxiety play in our lives? Here, Kierkegaard offers a fascinating perspective. He suggests that anxiety, far from being a negative or detrimental state, is actually a catalyst for personal growth. Anxiety forces us to confront our own potentiality, to engage with the uncertainty and unpredictability of life. It compels us to question, to reflect, and to make choices. And through this process of questioning and choosing, we come to define ourselves, to carve out our own unique path in the world. Yet it is important to note that Kierkegaard doesn't advocate for a life dominated by anxiety. Rather, he proposes a delicate balancing act. We must learn to navigate the turbulent waters of anxiety without being consumed by them. We must embrace our anxiety, not as a tormentor but as a teacher, a guide that can lead us towards self-understanding and personal growth. In the final analysis, Kierkegaard's concept of anxiety presents a nuanced and thought-provoking exploration of anxiety. It challenges us to rethink our understanding of anxiety, to see it not as a pathology to be cured, but as a fundamental part of our human condition. And most importantly, it invites us to harness our anxiety, to use it as a tool for self-discovery and personal development. In Kierkegaard's view, anxiety is not a barrier, but rather a necessary condition for achieving greatness. So, the next time you feel the stirrings of anxiety within you, remember Kierkegaard's words. Embrace your anxiety, engage with it, learn from it, and who knows, it may just lead you to greatness. In order to better understand Kierkegaard's theory, consider these examples of individuals who used their anxiety to achieve greatness. History is replete with those who experienced anxiety and used it as a catalyst for their achievements. Take, for instance, the life of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Known for his leadership during the American Civil War, Lincoln also famously battled what he referred to as melancholy, which we now understand as a form of anxiety. Nevertheless, he channeled this energy into his fervor for unity and equality, leading to the Emancipation Proclamation. Or consider the renowned English author Charles Dickens. His literary works, teeming with vividly drawn characters and intricate plots, are a testament to his genius. Dickens, however, was no stranger to anxiety. His creative process was often marked by bouts of intense worry and restlessness. Yet it was this same anxiety that fueled his creativity, leading to timeless classics like A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations. Fast forward to the modern era, and we find singer-songwriter Adele, who has openly spoken about her struggles with performance anxiety. Despite her immense talent and success, she has often grappled with stage fright. Yet, instead of letting it hold her back, she uses it as a driving force to deliver heart-wrenching performances that have touched millions. Similarly, we have the story of Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur behind Tesla and SpaceX. Musk once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor." This statement reflects his approach to anxiety, acknowledging it, but not letting it deter him from his ambitious goals. These individuals, each in their own way, harnessed their anxiety and used it to fuel their drive to achieve greatness. They turned what could have been an obstacle into a source of motivation, of energy, of inspiration. This is not to glamorize anxiety or to suggest that it is a prerequisite for success. Rather, it is to highlight that anxiety, when channeled appropriately, can be a powerful motivator. It can push us to confront our fears, to step out of our comfort zones, to strive for more. Kierkegaard believed that anxiety was not just a condition to be treated, but an integral part of human existence. It is a state of being that can prompt us to question, to reflect, and to seek meaning. In this sense, anxiety can be a catalyst for growth, self-discovery, and ultimately, greatness. As these examples show, Kierkegaard's theory has real-world applications that are as relevant today as they were in his time. In our modern, fast-paced world, anxiety is a common experience, yet, as Kierkegaard suggests, it can be a catalyst for greatness. In the digital age, we are constantly bombarded with information and stimuli from every direction. The pressure to perform, to succeed, and to keep up with the relentless pace of change can be overwhelming. And it's no wonder that anxiety disorders are among the most common mental health issues of our time. Yet it is crucial to remember that anxiety is not always a foe. As the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard pointed out, anxiety can also be a friend, a partner, in our journey towards personal growth and self-fulfillment. Kierkegaard believed that anxiety is a natural response to our freedom and our potential. It is the tension that arises when we realize that we are capable of doing so much, yet are unsure of the path to take. So how can we harness this powerful, yet often unsettling emotion? How can we transform it from a debilitating force into a catalyst for greatness? Firstly, it's important to acknowledge our anxiety, rather than trying to suppress it or run away from it. We should see it as a sign of our potential, a sign that we are on the brink of something new and significant. This perspective shift can be challenging, but it is the first step towards truly understanding and harnessing our anxiety. Secondly, we can learn to manage our anxiety by taking control of our thoughts and actions. Kierkegaard argued that we have the freedom to shape our own lives and that this freedom can be both exhilarating and terrifying. By consciously choosing our actions, we can reduce the uncertainty that fuels anxiety. This doesn't mean we have to have everything figured out. Rather, it's about making decisions and taking actions that align with our values and goals, even when we're not sure of the outcome. Finally, we can use our anxiety as a source of motivation. Kierkegaard believed that anxiety could push us to achieve greater things, to go beyond our comfort zone, and to truly realize our potential. If we see anxiety as a signal that we are capable of more, it can drive us to overcome challenges, to strive for excellence, and to achieve greatness. It's also worth noting that while Kierkegaard's ideas can provide a helpful framework for understanding and managing anxiety, professional help should be sought if anxiety becomes overwhelming or debilitating. In the face of anxiety, we have a choice. We can let it overwhelm us, or we can harness it as a force for personal growth and greatness. Indeed, our modern world is filled with anxiety. But within that anxiety lies the potential for extraordinary achievement. It's up to us to seize it. As we approach the end of our journey, it's time for some self-reflection. How can you apply Kierkegaard's theory to your own life? At this juncture, it's essential to reflect on the personal experiences we've had with anxiety. It's not something we can simply sweep under the rug. Instead, it's a part of our human experience that needs to be acknowledged, understood, and potentially transformed into a driving force. Let's consider Kierkegaard's theory in the context of our own lives. He viewed anxiety not as a necessarily negative emotion, but as an opportunity. As we've learned, Kierkegaard considered anxiety to be the dizziness of freedom, a feeling that arises when we realize the endless possibilities and choices we have before us. In our day-to-day lives, we all face moments of decision, moments where the path ahead is unclear. In these moments, it's natural to feel a sense of anxiety. But instead of seeing this anxiety as a hindrance, Kierkegaard invites us to see it as a sign of our freedom, our capacity to shape our own lives. So, how can we harness this anxiety? How can we turn this dizziness of freedom into a stepping stone towards personal growth? Well, the first step is to acknowledge the presence of anxiety. It's okay to feel anxious. In fact, it's more than okay. It's a sign of the vast potential that lies within each of us. Next, we need to understand that this anxiety is not something that needs to be eliminated, but rather something that can be channeled. It's about shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing anxiety as a roadblock, we can see it as a catalyst for action, a motivator that pushes us to confront the unknown and make choices that lead us towards growth. Finally, it's about turning anxiety into action. It's about making choices, taking steps, and moving forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's about embracing the uncertainty and using it as a springboard towards personal growth and self-fulfillment. This is not an easy task. It requires courage, resilience, and above all, a willingness to embrace our anxiety, to see it not as a burden, but as a gift, a sign of our freedom and our potential for greatness. So, as we wrap up our exploration of Kierkegaard's theory, let's not forget the powerful message it holds for each of us. Let's not shy away from our anxiety, but rather, let's harness it. Let's use it as a tool for personal growth and self-discovery. Remember, in the words of Kierkegaard, anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Embrace it, and it could lead you to greatness.